Not all betrayal is the same. Psychologists have known for decades that being hurt by a stranger and being hurt by someone close to you produce two completely different kinds of damage. The stranger takes something from you. The family member takes something from you, and takes the person you trusted most to help you survive it. That double wound is what researchers now call betrayal trauma, and no story in Scripture documents it more completely than the story of Joseph. He was betrayed by his brothers, falsely accused by a woman he worked for, forgotten by a man he helped, and thrown into a pit before any of it. And yet he became one of the most psychologically resilient figures in the entire Bible. In this video, we are going to walk through Joseph's story clinically and understand both the damage and the recovery. Because by the end, the most famous line in his story will mean something entirely different to you. Joseph was the 11th of 12 sons. He was his father, Jacob's favorite, and Jacob made no effort to hide it. The coat of many colors was not just a gift. It was a public declaration of preference. His brothers saw it, they felt it, and they hated Joseph for it. Joseph also had dreams in which his brothers bowed down to him, and he told them about those dreams. Whether that was naivety or provocation is a question the text leaves open. What the text makes clear is what happened next. One day, far from home, the brothers saw Joseph coming toward them across a field, and they made a plan. They stripped him of his coat. They threw him into an empty pit. They sat down and ate a meal while he was in there. Then they sold him to a passing caravan of merchants for 20 pieces of silver. He was taken to Egypt, sold as a slave to a man named Potiphar. And then, as if one betrayal was not enough, it happened again. Potiphar's wife attempted to seduce him repeatedly. He refused every time. She falsely accused him of assault. He was thrown into prison. In prison, he interpreted the dream of a cupbearer who worked for Pharaoh. He asked the cupbearer to remember him when he got out. The cupbearer forgot him for 2 years. 3 betrayals. 3 times. By family, by employer, by someone he helped. Each one building on the last. Jennifer Freyd, a psychologist at the University of Oregon, developed betrayal trauma theory in the 1990s. Her central finding is this: betrayal by someone you depend on creates a specific and deeper form of trauma than harm from a stranger. The reason is attachment. When a stranger hurts you, it is terrifying. But your attachment relationships are still intact. You can go home. You can tell someone. You can be held by the people you trust. When the person who hurts you is the attachment figure, the family, the one who was supposed to protect you, the wound goes somewhere different, because you cannot go to your support system. Your support system is the one that broke you. And your nervous system, which relies on close relationships to regulate itself, suddenly has no safe place to land. This is why family betrayal produces such specific and lasting damage. It does not just cause pain. It disrupts the entire system a person uses to recover from pain. For Joseph, the first betrayal was not just 11 brothers deciding to sell him. It was the collapse of the only world he had ever known. His coat, the symbol of his father's love, was torn off and used as evidence of his supposed death. His identity, his belonging, his safety, all of it, in a single afternoon, gone. There is a second layer that makes Joseph's story clinically significant. It is not one betrayal. It is a pattern. Each time Joseph built something, trust, a reputation, a relationship, it was taken from him. Potiphar's house, prison stability, the cupbearer's promise. Psychologists call this repeated relational trauma. And what it does to a person is specific. The first betrayal teaches you that people can hurt you. The second teaches you that institutions won't protect you. The third teaches you that even people you help will forget you. By the end of that sequence, the psychological conclusion being formed is this: there is no safe place. There is no person worth trusting. The only strategy is to expect nothing. This is not weakness. It is intelligence. It is what the brain does to protect itself from further damage. And it is one of the most common psychological profiles among adults who grew up in families where love was inconsistent or conditional. They do not trust easily. They wait for the other shoe to drop. They sabotage things when they get too good. Not because they want to, because their nervous system learned, through experience, that good things get taken. And then, we get to Genesis 50, verse 20. Joseph is now the second most powerful man in Egypt. His brothers stand before him, unrecognized. They have come begging for food during a famine. And Joseph, the man they threw in a pit, feeds them. He reveals himself. He weeps. He embraces Benjamin. And eventually, when their father has died and the brothers fear his revenge, he says this, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Most people read that line as an act of faith. It is also an act of psychology. What Joseph is describing is what researchers Tedeschi and Calhoun, in the 1990s, named post-traumatic growth. Post-traumatic growth is not the absence of pain. It is not pretending the trauma did not happen. It is the specific cognitive process of finding meaning in suffering, without minimizing what the suffering cost. Notice what Joseph does not say. He does not say it did not hurt. He does not say his brothers were right to do it. He says, "You intended harm." That is a full acknowledgement. And then he adds, "But something else was also true." That capacity, to hold both the wound and the meaning at the same time, is one of the most difficult and one of the most healing things a human being can do. So here is what this means for you. First, stop minimizing the wound by rushing to the meaning. Joseph did not say it was for good on the day he was thrown in the pit. He said it decades later, after he had lived through every stage of the suffering. If you are in the pit right now, do not pressure yourself to find the meaning yet. The meaning comes after the feeling, not instead of it. Second, recognize the pattern if it exists. If betrayal has happened to you more than once, if trust has been broken in family, in friendship, in work, your nervous system has been learning something. It has been learning that closeness equals danger. That pattern is not the truth about people. It is the truth about your history, and the difference between those two things is the work. Third, know that post-traumatic growth requires one thing Joseph had. He was not alone. Even in prison, he was present with others. He noticed them. He asked what was wrong. The research on post-traumatic growth is consistent. You cannot find meaning in isolation. The people who recover deepest from betrayal trauma are almost always the ones who eventually found a relationship safe enough to tell the truth in. Joseph wept when he finally revealed himself. Not in front of the Egyptians, in front of his brothers. Even the people who hurt him became, in the end, part of the healing. If you have ever been betrayed by someone who should have protected you, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. What helped you most when the person who hurt you was someone close? If this kind of content reaches you, where biblical stories are examined through the lens of modern psychology, subscribe. And the next video looks at David, a man after God's own heart, who, when he reached the height of power, did something that cost him almost everything. It is a study in what unchecked power does to the moral brain. I will see you there.